Ow! Ah! The wrong hole.
Oh my god, the tip just broke. As I showed you in the last video, there are a few things that needs to be fixed on the Mini. Among them, the brakes. So let's get to it. I'm going to start with the front ones. I have lifted the car with 4 stands, so I can remove the wheels. Phew, these bolts are done. Yes, I had already loosened the screws before lifting the car. I don't know if the thread of the bolt or the hub is bad, or maybe both, but the bolts are not cooperating. I have bought new bolts, by the way, because this is a disaster. Have a look at the bolts. They are bad. They are all rusty. That's why I usually put them a bit of copper grease. It gets a bit filthy, but then you can avoid this rust. All rusty. To remove the calipers, the first thing to do is remove the spring. Behind the plastic covers on the back, the screws that hold the caliper to the caliper holder are hidden. They can be removed with a 7mm Allen key. Mine was lost, so I finally managed to remove them with a 45 Torx. Prying the pads, I retract the piston a little, just enough for the caliper to come out. And it's out. Oof, this looks all disgusting. This pad is mounted into the piston. Oh my god, take a look how the piston looks like. This is crusty. The caliper holder is attached with two 16mm bolts. Oh boy, it was really tight. After removing the caliper holder, what's left is to loosen the screw that holds the disc. As you will see later with the rear brakes, I recommend you to loosen it before removing the caliper, so the disc won't turn and you avoid damaging the screw head. When I remove the brake hose, it will start leaking, so I'm going to use the bleeder cap from the brake caliper to plug the brake pipe. While I refresh the brake calipers and brackets, I need to avoid the leaking from the brake pipe, so the reservoir is not emptied and air is not getting into the brake system.
Aceite aquí.
On the left side, I have already disassembled it, and I have tried a specific wrench for brake pipes, but it didn't really work. So I have finally used a normal 11mm wrench, and it worked fine. 17mm on the lower nut, and 11mm on the upper one. Nope, this one is slipping.
Y entonces, no.
Well, after fighting a while, I have rounded the nut and I cannot disassembly it without destroying it.
Al menos con las llaves que tengo, ni con la llave específica ni con la normal, soy capaz. Afortunadamente,
Luckily, the brake hose is not that old as I thought, calendar week 30 of 2015, so I am reusing it.
por lo que no es tan viejo y lo voy a dejar.
Of course, in the near future, I will replace it, not only the hose, but also the pipe.
Y dejarlo todo bien, pero ahora
But right now, I have to focus in getting the job done, so I will leave it like this.
lo que sí que voy a hacer es
What I am doing right now is separating the caliper from the hose, so I can take it upstairs and refresh it.
poner la pinza arriba y darle un lavado de cara, porque esto es asqueroso, tal y como está. Ahora.
Of course, it is leaking.
Líquido de frenos por todos los putos sitios. Lo que está fantástico, por supuesto. Bueno, pues al final,
Finally, with a bit of a glove,
con un
I have put the screw back into the hose and it's not leaking anymore.
así el guante
So I can leave this here and the reservoir will remain filled in the next few days.
vacía el depósito, claro.
Now it's time to give the calipers and brackets a good brushing and cleaning. Before starting, you have to remove the dust covers and cover the hole where the hose is connected, so that dirt doesn't get in. This one fits, so no dust will get into the caliper.
Nos evitamos que entre suciedad dentro. La izquierda es la que acabo de
I already brushed the left one and the right one is untouched.
cepillar aún.
It is not perfect, but it will do the job.
Perfectas no están, pero bueno.
Time to repeat the brushing on the other caliper and on the caliper holders.
Algo se nota, ¿no?
Can you spot the difference?
Antes de proceder
Before spraying them with anti-rust, I have to clean and degrease them pretty well, so the surface is as clean as it gets.
no lo he mezclado, así que echo primero agua y luego desengrasante. Y así nos aseguramos que la superficie está limpia.
Well, I will leave them here drying for a while, and in the meantime I am going to prepare my paint booth. I will show you in a second. Yep, this is my paint booth. I am first spraying the caliper holders. I will apply a few coats, so between coats I am going to prepare the calipers for the spraying.
Y mientras tanto me voy a dedicar a enmascarar.
I have to protect some areas like the piston, which I am not going to replace. The bellow will be replaced, so it doesn't really matter if it gets sprayed.
La goma me da un poco igual, esta sí que tengo recambio. Entonces,
I'm going also to protect again here. After washing the parts, the tape is falling off.
Con agua pues se ha soltado, así que lo volveré a pegar.
So,
Y nada,
I see you in a second.
ahora os veo.
I'm going to use a rust converter spray from Epafix. You have the link to the product in the description. I'm giving a total of 3 coats with about 5 to 10 minutes of drying time between coats. Now it's time for the calipers. Let's go. They need to cure for about 5 to 10 hours. In 10 hours would be already night, so I am leaving them cure until tomorrow, and then I will start painting them. I show you how the caliper holders look like now. They look much better. See you tomorrow. Good morning. Here you have all the parts. They have been curing all night long, and now it's time to paint. Let's go. I'm using this brake caliper paint, minimum 3 coats, and let about 10 minutes dry between coats. Fourth and last coat. I finally found the mask, now that I am already intoxicated. Okay, so now they have to cure for about 10 hours at 20 degrees Celsius. Today will be about 20 degrees outside, so that is fine. I am leaving them here, and before dawn I will take them inside. So tomorrow I will start mounting all the little parts on the calipers. Let's start baking. It's time to remove the tape off the calipers and put the new rubber parts. The piston bellow comes off simply by prying it. A little brake cleaner. This is the repair kit I bought. It comes with the piston bellows, the caliper guide rubber pads, and even the bleeder plug. This one I am not using it, as I am not replacing the piston. A bit of silicone spray on the piston area and the bellows, so that it gets in easier.
Diámetro para que ahora no sea tan difícil de meter este. Vamos a darle por aquí también.
The same for the caliper guide rubber parts.
Moveremos bien. Y para adentro.
Here are the new caliper guiding bolts. I put the plugs on so I don't lose them.
Y la otra tapa. Listo. A la delantera izquierda.
On the left one I have to mount the brake hose.
El latiguillo. Este es.
I also put a new hollow screw, there you have it, also with new washers. A few copper washers, inner diameter 10, outer 16 and 1 mm thick. So I need 2 washers. Get the hollow screw and put on 1 washer.
Ponemos una arandela de cobre.
Then put it into the brake hose.
Esto por aquí. Y ponemos
Now comes the second washer.
otra arandela de cobre. Y ahora ya
And finally it must be screwed into the caliper.
la pinza. Aquí el tornillito.
$11mm socket.
Apretamos. Joder.
Copy paste on the other caliper and there you have the result. Time to go back to the car and put them back in place. The first thing is to brush the hub well so that the disc sits perfectly. Disc goes in.
Un momento.
This is the new screw that fixes the disc. I am putting a bit of copper grease on the tip of it, just a tiny bit, to avoid rust on the tip, and the next time that I need to replace the brake disc will be easier to loosen it.
Pues no estará todo oxidadísimo porque es la parte que da al exterior.
Torx 50 and in it goes.
Eso es, ahora sí. Para esto es muy pequeño, así que con darle con la
Hand tight is enough.
sobra. Vamos a ver en el
Also a bit of copper grease on the lip.
empuje, también un poquito de grasa de cobre. Ahí está. Vale, ahora toca
Time to put the caliper holder back in place with 2 new bolts.
tornillos nuevos a los que les voy a poner un poquito de
I'm going to put a bit of thread locker. The normal one is enough, no need to use stronger thread lockers here.
suficiente. Ahí está.
One and two.
Aquí tengo las pastillas.
Here you have the new brake pads. I'm going to put them a bit of copper grease here on the ears.
Por esta como por esta. aquí en la pizza.
This one gets attached to the piston.
Ahora la colocamos ahí.
And now I tighten the caliper using the 7mm Allen key. Now it's time to fit the brake hose on the right side, which, if you remember, I am leaving the old one. Of course, with new washers and a new hollow screw. By the way, I almost forget to put the new spring on the caliper. This goes like this.
Ahí. Ahí. Ahora sí. Aquí viene enganchado.
Here and there is placed, and also into the two holes. On the left side the procedure is the same, but here the wear sensor has to be replaced. If you follow the routing of the wire, it goes somewhere behind the wheel arch, so it has to be taken out in order to replace the wear sensor.
Espero que no salga volando.
One of these connectors is the one for the wear sensor. This one out. This out. Another one behind. Out. And this is the connector. It should come out by pulling. Yes. This is the new one, and I just have to put it back as the old one was. It goes in its place, and now just fix the wire with its rubber clips.
Aquí están.
What is left is to connect the plug to the caliper when it is finally mounted. So as I said, once the caliper is placed, the wear sensor can be plugged.
Como una especie de tapón que envuelve. Y esto va aquí dentro hasta el final.
That's it. As you know, I couldn't replace the brake hose on the right side, so I will show you the one on the left side. So first I remove the cap that avoids the pipe to leak.
Tirará líquido de frenos por todos los lados. Antes de nada lo metemos aquí. Joder. He hecho un puto Cristo, pero bueno. Fijamos esta.
This should be enough.
Pero sí, creo que sí está. Está bien, todo está bien.
It's time for the rear brakes. The rear brakes are equipped with a handbrake system. If I wanted to disassemble the calipers to restore them, would imply to separate the handbrake wire from the caliper. And seeing how rusty is everything here, I think I can only do this by cutting the cable. And of course then mount a new one from the front of the car to the rear. It means a lot of time that I don't have, so I'm not going to restore the rear calipers yet. I will just simply replace brake disc and pads. Let's do it. Oh, I should release the handbrake. Done. The caliper guide bolts also come out with a 7mm Allen key, just like the front ones. Poof, this is done.
Están bastante bien.
Oof, take a look at this. That's why the braking was so poor.
Madre mía.
The bolts holding the caliper holder are here, behind the trailing arm. I cannot see them, but I can feel them.
Aquí los noto, la cabeza. Aquí y aquí. Ahora he soltado. Vale.
I have to brush them a bit.
Este ha caído aquí ya. Vale, pues muy bien. Como veis,
Everything is rusty here.
bueno.
Well, now let's remove this screw with a 50 Torx. I must confess that I screwed up here. I should have loosened the screw holding the disc when the caliper was on, as it would have come off relatively easy. I didn't do it, and as you will see, I ended up damaging the screw head. As you can see, the screw doesn't want to cooperate. I am going to buy some kind of extraction tool for screws, and let's see if it works. I was yesterday on a hardware shop and I bought these metal drills and this extractor kit. Let's try this. First I am going to drill a hole on the screw with the 4mm drill. Then in this hole I will screw this tool, and with a bit of luck it will grab the screw and maybe unbolt it.
Vamos a ver, aquí despacito. Primero voy a probar a mano.
I screw it first by hand and see if it grabs the screw.
Si a mano engancha. Vamos a ver. Vale, no tengo
I am using this screwdriver as I have no ratchet that fits to the tool.
Así que vamos a ver si con esto lo consigo clavar. No sé si saldrá a mano, pero bueno, vamos a ver. Desde luego que agarrar, agarrado. Vamos ahora a hacer el par para que esto siga girando. Hostia.
Oh shit. Oh my god, the tip just broke. After this, I tried to use the drill bits to remove the part of the screw head, but it was impossible. Change of plans. As the disc is not going out, I am going to disassembly and replace the rear hubs. This can be done by removing these 4 bolts.
Así que a ver si así por lo menos quito el buje que tiene.
These are not very bad news, as the threads for the wheel bolts on the hub are pretty rusty, so by replacing the hubs I will solve the issue with the brake and also the one with the wheel bolts.
¡Agua! Ah, mi mano.
Oh, my hand.
Vale, 13 sale, muy bien. Bien.
My thumb.
Joder.
With the hub out of the way, I am going to brush this area a bit. Be careful here with the speed sensor not to damage it. In the future I will replace the whole trailing arm, but until then I just want the new hub to sit here properly.
Vale.
Here you have the new wheel hub. Of course I ordered 2 of them, one per side. It comes with new bolts and washers. The original bolts were somehow different between left and right side. On the left side, the head fitted with a 13mm socket, and on the right side with a 15mm. The new ones fit with a 16mm. As long as they do the job, it's good to me. To put it in its place, you have to check that the distance between holes is different, so pay attention to it when you put the hub in place. I cannot really see where the bolt goes in. Now just screw it a bit so the hub stays in place. It fits well, so now it doesn't fall while I put the rest of the bolts. I screw them first by hand so I don't damage the threads, neither the bolt nor the hub. Then I will tighten them properly with the ratchet.
No, este no es. The wrong hole. Este sí. Espero que esté rascando porque no lo veo. Sí, yo creo que sí.
That's it. I am putting on the tip of the screw a bit of copper grease to avoid getting rusty again. Maybe this is going too far, but it won't hurt a bit of copper grease.
mal tampoco le va a venir. Vale, ahora podemos empezar a montar.
Now I can start mounting the whole brakes.
Pues disco de freno, pinza, etc. Vamos. Suficiente así.
New bolts, of course.
Vale, aquí están.
These are the new brake pads.
Nuevas. De este lado.
This one with these clamps and metal parts goes on the inner side, facing the brake piston. And the other one goes on the outer side.
Va hacia el exterior.
On both of them I am spreading a bit of copper grease, here on the ears where the pads slide through the caliper holder.
Desliza aquí con el soporte de las pinzas. Y listo. Vamos
Let's go.
Vamos así, no se cae. Ahí está.
The piston has to be retracted with this tool that I have shown you in other videos. In this case, I already did this when I was fighting with the brake disc screw, so I can directly put the caliper back in place. I also bought the key to replace the whole rubber pads on the rear brakes, but I am not changing them now. I will replace them when I do the proper restoration of the rear axle. Next is to put the new caliper spring. If I manage to take it out of the back. This one here.
Vale, estos entran bastante más fáciles, la verdad.
Perfect. On the right side is where the wear sensor sits, and which I am also going to replace.
El sensor de desgaste, que voy a cambiar por uno nuevo. Vale. Vamos a sacarlo por aquí, o por aquí abajo mejor.
The connector is somewhere behind there.
El conector ahí abajo. Voy a cambiar la
Let me move the camera and show you. Here there are two connectors. This is the one behind.
Ahora sí. Ahora sale.
Old out, a new one in.
Tiene una posición. Ahí.
Now just place the new wear sensor wire parallel to the speed sensor wire and attach to it.
Igual que estaba el otro, que es básicamente pues, siguiendo por aquí el cable del sensor de velocidad. Vale, por último.
Finally, after assembling the brakes, just plug the sensor in its place.
Ahí. Ahora, en su sitio.
Now it's time to change and bleed the brake fluid. So I just open the cap of the reservoir and I will connect the pump to it. First, I will pump without fluid to check that the system is tight, and then fill the fluid and pump again. Make sure to bleed properly, as when changing the brake hose and disconnecting the front calipers, some air may have entered the circuit. It's been a while and the system didn't lose pressure, so I can fill the pump with fluid. Let's go to the rear right wheel. As always, I start with the wheel farthest from the reservoir, the rear right, and then I move closer to the reservoir, that is, rear left, front right, and finally front left.
Ahora. Uah. Vale. Tapamos. Vale, pues ya solo nos
Now I
queda
can remove the pressure of the system.
la presión del circuito. Ahí está.
I dismantle the whole thing and I don't even need to remove any liquid from the reservoir, since it is right at the maximum. And that's all for today. This video has gotten a bit long, so in the next one I will finish fixing what is needed to pass the tube, and we will see if the little Mini passes or not. As always, if you like the content, smash the like button. If you don't want to miss the next videos, subscribe to the channel. And I see you in the next video. Thanks a lot for watching. Bye bye.